While the population of Palm Beach County grows, so does the need for support for the homeless. So you're about to hear from the local organization about stepping up to help and about the work that still needs to be done. Let's go on the record.
From WPBF 25, this is On the Record with Todd McDermott.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us today. Homelessness in Palm Beach County has been on the rise at a time when housing prices, as we know, are soaring, and a new state law just took effect that bans people from either camping or sleeping on public property. That puts local nonprofits on the front line to offer food, shelter, and other services to people who are trying to rebuild their lives. So this morning, we're joined by members of one of those organizations, the Lord's Place, and more. First, we welcome Annie Noble, their Chief Advancement Officer. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Let's talk first about the mission of the Lord's Place, what you do, what you offer.
Thank you. Yeah, the Lord's Place has been here in Palm Beach County for more than 40 years, and our mission has stayed the same: to break the cycle of homelessness here for men, women, and children. And we do that with all of our supportive services. We serve close to 2,000 people a year with all of our wraparound services, including our outreach and engagement team, culinary apprentice training program, job training, reentry services, and it's all designed to help people on their journey out of homelessness. And then, of course, we have housing, because that's really what breaks the cycle.
And we do need to talk about that. Let me ask you very quickly, though, in 40 years of the Lord's Place, and in your time, quite a long time with the organization, how have you seen this challenge, this problem, this issue change?
It does change. It changes rapidly, and it changes from year to year. And in the past couple of years, we've seen a surge in homelessness because the landscape here in Palm Beach County has changed so much, especially since COVID. We see a lot more people who are elderly living in their cars, traveling to our main Fortin Family campus via their car and in our parking lot. We see young adults affected. We also see women and children and families, but really the rise and the uptick has been in elderly most recently.
What else do you think might surprise some of us when it comes to who makes up the homeless? Because I think that some people have a certain idea,
right,
but it's not necessarily correct.
No. If you take the time to come to our agency, and we welcome everybody to walk through our doors, you'll see that our clients are just like you and me. And oftentimes it just takes one hardship that forces someone into homelessness. You know, I think largely on cold days, on rainy days, on really, really hot days, I think about people who are most vulnerable living out on the street, and oftentimes they're having to live in their cars, and it makes me realize that they were once stable. They were a mom, a sister, a brother, and they fell on hard times, and they were just that one step away from no longer having a house to live in.
It's a hard realization for a lot of us that it can happen really to anybody.
It really can, and that's what we see so often with our clients who walk through the doors. But, you know, they're shy at first because they're not used to asking for help or wanting help, but the Lord's Place really becomes their last resort. We are there in case of emergency. We become their community, their family, and they rely on us. And we take that very seriously and love the people we work with and serve with compassion and respect, because that's what they deserve.
Asking for help is obviously so difficult. How do you overcome that if you actually get to reach out to somebody? How do you make them realize that it's okay?
I have to say, I work with the most magnificent people I've met in my entire life, and that is why I'm still at the Lord's Place today after 9 years, because the staff at the Lord's Place really knows how to engage with those people who are chronically homeless out on the street and those who aren't wanting to ask for help, and they just keep going back. They keep serving, they keep providing, they keep going back. Even when a client might say no, they still go back with a smile on their face, and that's really what brings people in.
I want to address this new state law that bans the public sleeping, public camping, and requires local governments to move those people. We know that it took effect technically in October. It's now being enforced. What are you seeing so far?
As far as the ban goes, we're seeing you know, people out on the street being affected. They are getting asked to move to different places, but the Lord's place does not change in our mission. We continue helping and serving and collaborating with community partners to ensure that we're helping people out on the street to the best of our abilities.
We mentioned affordable housing. Is that the #1 issue that we need to focus on right now to combat homelessness? What are the solutions that would need to be addressed now?
You know, I think it really is collaborative and community partnerships. It's working with our state, our local government to be able to provide housing for those who are less fortunate. But it's also partnering with companies here in the community. We've got some wonderful partners like GL Homes. We've got our upcoming March to End Homelessness that's on February 28th, where we really want to be able to showcase those community partnerships and those collaborative partnerships, and that's why we're offering GL Homes our first inaugural March Award, really showcasing how different entities here in the community can come together and make a really impactful difference.
Oddly enough, we're going to hear from folks from GL Homes in just a moment.
Wonderful.
All right, Annie Noble from the Lord's Place, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for the work you do. We have much more to come today. Coming up, we're going to look at this locally based corporation that we just mentioned and what they're doing to break the cycle of homelessness.
You're watching On the Record on WPBF 25.
Welcome back. Here with you now is Sarah Alsofrom, Vice President of Community Relations with GL Homes. So welcome, Sarah.
Thank you.
GL Homes, obviously, you build homes.
We do.
But philanthropy is a big part of your company. What's the catalyst for that?
Yeah, our drive, our passion, we're a Florida home builder, and we want to give back in the communities where we live and work. And so it's an obvious fit for us to support organizations that help to break the cycle of homelessness and also help people who are food insecure with hunger relief. Just like the Lord's Place, Feeding South Florida, Boys and Girls Clubs, just to name a few in our area.
So what does the Community Relations Director do? What are you doing specifically to help GL Homes reach out to help?
Right. So in Palm Beach County and on the Treasure Coast, we build homes. We help our partners like Gulfstream Goodwill Industries build apartments for developmentally disabled adults in West Palm Beach. We've worked with another agency called In the Pines and built apartments in Delray Beach for low-income farm workers. But we do a lot with the Lord's Place. We're now celebrating our 10-year anniversary with the Lord's Place in partnership with them to work to break the cycle of homelessness. And one of, if you will, our crown jewel in that partnership is the Meal Mobile.
We have a lot to talk about when it comes to the Meal Mobile.
We do.
Let me ask you very quickly. It takes money to do this.
It does.
Where do the funds come from to build these homes?
So in terms of building the homes, listen, it's not just one builder. It can't just be one company. It really is a partnership between the charity, the builder, and then include that city or the county. So as an example, when we built those homes in West Palm Beach for developmentally disabled adults, that was a partnership with Goodwill, GL Homes, Palm Beach County, and the city of West Palm Beach. You can't do it alone. It's got to be community-wide effort.
You mentioned the Meal Mobile. Let's talk about it.
Yes.
Because it is so important. And Meal Mobile, that's not a misnomer, but it really is just scratching the surface of what the Meal Mobile is.
It is. So just to get down to the basics, this is a 42-foot Bluebird bus that travels once a week.
It is.
Yes, to Belle Glade, and then monthly trips to Riviera Beach, where we feed in partnership with the Lord's Place 150 to 200 people each trip, those people who are at risk of homelessness and who are homeless. But it's also much more than that. It's a prep kitchen in the front of the bus, and in the back of the bus, it's an office with Wi-Fi. So you and I can't focus when we're hungry, and that's what we're trying to do with those experiencing homelessness. Give them a hot, delicious meal, and once they can focus, ask them the questions. How can we help you get off the streets? Provide social services, everything from mental health services to perhaps even getting a photo ID. And so we've made a difference in hundreds and hundreds of lives just in the past year alone that the Meal Mobile has been on the street. And just to add, Todd, it's not cheap to do this. We really put our money where our mouth is, quite literally. In 2025, $200,000 GL Homes has given to fund the Mealmobile completely. That's everything from insurance and gas to the food to help with the staffing.
So when I hear you say this, obviously it is the food first, but this really comes down to the business of living and rebuilding a life that it takes help to do.
It does. So food is used as an engagement tool to build trust, to establish a relationship, and help that person focus on the services they need. So the Lord's Place is there with their phenomenal caseworkers and outreach team to provide shelter, housing, and social services to those people living on the streets. And I'd also like to add and give thank you for the opportunity to be here, because to anybody who's listening who might be an elected official or who works at a city, we are willing to expand the services of the Mealmobile. As long as that city has a place for that 42-foot bus to park during the lunch hours, we would love to be able to go to other cities and expand this program to help other people experiencing homelessness.
I have about 30 seconds left. If someone is hearing what you're talking about and says, maybe they have a business, maybe it's a government leader and says, I want to be part of this, what do they do?
Call the Lord's Place. Volunteer opportunities are plenty. They can make an impact right in our community.
All right, Sarah Alsofrom from GL Homes. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very much. And coming up, the event that changed a local man's life. We'll talk with him about that and with the person who made it possible when On the Record continues. Welcome back. I'm here with Robbie Yancy, a peer advocate for the Lord's Place in Lenwood, who now has a place to call home thanks to the organization's work. And Lenwood, you're nodding your head. Let's start with, if you could help explain to people what first led to your homelessness, and then we'll talk about what's happened since.
Well, I lost my phone. I mean, my wife. I mean, my sister. And things kind of got rainy, you know, a little this and that, but other than that, I lost everything.
You lost everything?
Because I lost. Because I just, otherwise I was going a lot. And I just didn't know how to handle it, you know, but they helped me.
How long did you experience this? How long did homelessness go for?
For a good little minute, about 4 to 7 years, something like that, a long time.
Years.
Oh, wow.
Years.
And I was going through a lot, you know, with the people, you know, the homeless and coming on, you know, and stuff like that. Taking money and stuff, you know.
And then somehow the Lord's Place reached out to you?
Yes, they did. They very much, a lot. Because I was able to turn my life around, because I was ready to go throw it in.
Yeah,
but
cash it in. Yeah.
But God knows that, so the Lord, and He just said, well, no, I'm gonna help you with this. I'm gonna help you. I said, well, God, I sure need it. And here I am.
Can you remember that moment when you realized that this is working?
Yes, I did. What? All I can say is, yes, thank God.
And tell me, you have a place, a stable place to live
yes,
now.
I do now.
Tell people what that's like after you haven't had one for so long.
Man, that's like, oh man, that's just I'm lost.
I think that sums it up. You're allowed to not go farther than that. I think the is a big deal. Robbie, tell me about what the Lord's Place, through your help and your connection with Him, what was Lord's Place able to do for Lenwood?
It did a lot for Lenwood. I met Lenwood at GL Homes Mobile Mobile, and it's a great thing when they added the mobile mobile to help draw the homeless. Because I'm a peer advocate with lived experience. I've been homeless myself through my own hands. And being in the homeless area and dealing with homeless, there's many multiple reasons why they was homeless. But when we was at the meal truck at GL Homes, Lenwood was one of the people that came for a meal. And so when I was serving the meals, he asked me, what do y'all do? You big, fine, wonderful band here. What do you do? I said, well, we engage with homeless and we're trying to help people off the streets. And he said, really? I said, how are you doing, sir? He said, well, I'm experiencing something. I said, well, we can talk because we have an engagement center on the Millmobile that we can go inside and talk personally and quietly. So I can interview Lenwood and get him enrolled in our services, and therefore, then I can provide all that I can for him. So that's how it started. And thank the Lord for the Lord's Place and GL Homes, because with that help, I was able to go from there, from the Millmobile, to servicing Lenwood with a lot of different services that allowed for the Lord's Place to place him in now his own permanent housing.
Well, what's it like to help somebody, since you've been in their shoes? What is it like to help someone who has had to deal with being homeless for an extended period? What's it like to be able to really help them?
Priceless. It's priceless. I know the feeling of being on the streets and not having somewhere to stay and bathe, eat, feeling less than. And then all of a sudden now you have a sense of value and purpose. You feel like a human being again. So it's a wonderful feeling. I thank the Lord's Place. I thank GL Homes for providing me with a job that I can help others. And like we are doing right now, breaking the cycle of homelessness.
Do you think some people don't quite understand what it's like, those feelings of being less than that you talked about, that they may not understand that when someone is homeless, everything feels less than, and they can feel less than in their own heart, that somehow they no longer belong. Lenwood, you seem to, you have an answer for that.
God knows it.
Yeah.
Man, it's rough. It's rough, man, but this, you know, but God is good. If, you know, that's why I always pray. That's why I pray. Other than that, I'd be...
Well, we're glad you found the Mealmobile and you found Robbie, too. Tell me about where you're living now.
Oh, man, perfect.
You don't see it, but he's giving a big
Beautiful.
okay, first of all.
Yeah, beautiful. That's all I can say. You know, it's just beautiful. Beautiful. It's heavy. You know, it's in the heart. You know, it's because I had nothing. I had lost everything. But God was good to me, so I was okay. I appreciate that.
And Robbie, final question for you as a peer advocate. What's it like to see Lenwood today as compared to when you first met him last year?
Purpose. That we are actually breaking this cycle of homelessness, and that the Lord's Place and GL Homes are working so hard to change. I feel proud and I'm grateful.
Well, I'm grateful that both of you shared your stories with us today, as you said. God knows. Robbie, Lenwood, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
On the Record, we'll be right back.
Okay.
Thank you for making this part of your morning today. As always, we encourage you to be part of our discussion each and every Sunday right here at 10 a.m. Until the next time, you can watch this morning's On the Record program and every episode on our website, WPBF.com, and on our free WPBF 25 news app. Matter of Fact with Soledad O'Brien is next. Our team here hopes you have a great day. See you again next Sunday.